All right. Well, 6:02 p.m. right now. To respect everybody's time, I'll get started with the meeting today. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending our Downtown Neighborhood Transit Study public meeting. Today's goal is to conduct an interactive and informative meeting where not only will we provide study details, we will also want to hear from you and get your feedback. If you have any questions or comments for the project team, you should see a drop down on the right-hand corner of your screen that is labeled Q&A. This is where you will be able to send us your questions and comments throughout tonight's meeting. When the presentation is concluded today, the project team will open the floor for questions and comments by reviewing the dialogue in the Q&A box. We would also like to remind you that we're also hosting links to our survey and story map, where you can also provide us your feedback and questions through this Friday. There we go. Here is the agenda that we have for today's meeting. We will introduce the project team, and then we will review what is neighborhood transit, the definition, study background, the downtown neighborhood transit studies study area, and existing conditions. We will go over project timeline, our current outreach efforts, and then lastly, go into the Q&A session. All right, so first of all, let's do a quick project team introduction. This is our project team. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Tang, Principal Planner with the City of Phoenix Public Transit Department. On my team, we are responsible for the planning and scheduling of transit services for the City of Phoenix. And Jory, could you say hi to everybody
Yes.
today?
Hi, I'm Jory Bresnahan. I'm a planner. I work with Kevin in the Public Transit Department, and I will be assessing some of the results or what you guys input and let us know your thoughts. Nice to meet you.
I can
And
go ahead next, Kevin. Hello, everyone. My name is Daksha Masurkar. I'm a transportation planner at the AECOM Phoenix office, and I'm a task manager on this effort. I have been with the T2050 program since 2018. And can we go on to the next slide? And I will dive deeper into what is neighborhood transit, what is the overall process of neighborhood transit study, and then talk about specifically the downtown area and dash circulator. Next slide, please. So what is neighborhood transit study? Neighborhood transit service provides a way to easily get around neighborhood areas and connect to local buses and light rail, which means connecting to the larger regional transit network. The existing neighborhood transit service in Phoenix area right now are circulators and dial-a-ride service. So some of the benefits of neighborhood transit services, it provides access to local destinations such as grocery stores, schools, and parks. They usually have smaller vehicles that can go through neighborhood streets wherever possible. And neighborhood service has a more potential for flexible routes and ability to request stops along the designated route. It is a solution, as previously mentioned, to connect riders to the nearest local bus route or light rail station. Uh, similar to other services offered within the Phoenix area, neighborhood transit service will offer online trip planning and real-time arrival information. Next slide, please. So here is a graphic that shows you the comparison of neighborhood transit service with some of the other transit services in Phoenix, that is the light rail route and the local bus route. You will observe that the capacity of each of this transit service is different, with light rail having the maximum capacity and neighborhood transit with their smaller vehicles having a lower capacity of 10 to 30 passengers. Also, neighborhood transit service provides more flexible routing and stops compared to local bus and light rail, which is fixed routes and the designated stops. Similar to light rail and local bus routes, it does have a fixed schedule and can operate from 12 to 14 hours a day. As mentioned in the previous slide, it does offer access to common destinations like grocery stores, schools, parks, and social service agencies. Next slide. So we already talked about some of the features of neighborhood transit service. Where does it operate? It can operate in dense downtown areas or in residential suburban neighborhoods. Usually it's a mini bus, but it can also be bigger buses where the need is higher. And the capacity ranges from 10 to 30 people. Yes, it is ADA compliant. And the way to ride it is you can request stops along the route, or you can also street hail a circulator in flagged zones. It allows you to transfer to bus stops, LRT stations, and transit centers. Some of the types of service of neighborhood transit is uh, some of them are fixed route service with designated pickup and drop off stops. Some of them are fixed route service with pickup and drop off at designated stops as well as requested stops along the route. Some of these are fixed route service with pickup and drop off at designated stops, but it allows route deviation up to 3/4 mile of the route for drop offs for some of the ADA users. Next slide, please. So the overall goals of this neighborhood transit studies, what are we trying to achieve here? Educate about neighborhood transit service and its benefits, explore the role of neighborhood transit, especially our current circulators, and how it can be improved to serve our existing system better. Understand neighborhood transit needs in communities that don't currently have circulators. And lastly, determine neighborhood transit service type based on community needs. Next slide, please. So neighborhood transit is one of the important components of the T2050 program. And the first step is to expand and improve the current neighborhood circulators. So there are 4 areas where we have our current circulators. One is the downtown area, which is served by the Dash circulator. Then is the Awatuki neighborhood, which is served by Alex. Third is the Maryville area, which is served by the Mary circulator. And last is the Sunny Slope, which is served by the Smart circulator. So the initial focus of our neighborhood transit study will be to focus on these circulators and then expand and see which other areas in Phoenix need neighborhood transit service. Next slide, please. So a community education and engagement plan was developed. The goal of this plan is to identify these tools and techniques to engage with different representatives of the communities and with the people of the community and educate them about neighborhood transit. So what answers can we get from the community education and engagement plan? What transportation needs does neighborhood transit service address? What are the benefits of neighborhood transit? How is neighborhood transit different from other services? How can I get involved as a public and a resident of a certain neighborhood? How does the community feedback inform the solution or the service options that the technical team will come up with? So the community education and engagement plan is a document that is right now hosted on the City of Phoenix Neighborhood Transit website, and it is also available in the Spanish version. Next slide, please. So I'll go through the overall process, and please keep in mind that this overall process is for one study area, and this process will be consistent for all the study areas that I just mentioned some time back. So the first step of this overall process is existing service review. Understand how the existing circulator is performing, understand what is the demographics in that area, what are the different land use, origins and destinations in that area, and use this information to inform the public. And so the first phase of community engagement is to understand the needs of the neighborhood, and that is the phase that we are in right now for the downtown area. Once we understand the needs of the people and the different representatives of the stakeholder groups, we then take that feedback, which helps us outline service options for that area. We provide these recommended service options to the people to look at it, to understand, and and provide us a preference, which service option they would prefer, how they would like us to refine the service options to best serve their needs. Upon getting that response, we will then develop a preferred service option, which again will be informed to the public about what this preferred service option is. When this preferred service option is considered by the city for implementation, there will be further refinements based on the implementation and operational aspects of the service. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk about the downtown neighborhood study area. So as you see here, there is a map showing the study area. On the north, it is the study area boundary is I-10, and on the south, it is I-17. The west and the south, and the east and the north is I-10. So within this area, we are trying to understand where service is needed. Currently, as you see on the map, it shows the dash, circulator route, and the stops. Along with dash, there is plenty other transit service options in the downtown area. Local bus service, our expanding light rail system, and express and rapid service. Next slide, please. So the neighborhood transit service in downtown is the Dash circulator, and it was first implemented back in 1991. And since then, it has gone through many changes based on the needs and some of the constraints within downtown area, whether there are construction activities or of developments or road improvements. So based on those needs, the routing has changed over time. From a currently we have more of a east-west routing, but initially, you can see in May 2008, it also went north-south. Next slide, please. So the downtown existing conditions. Before we started with this public engagement phase 1, we did review the existing transit service in downtown to understand the needs. So to show what all data we have collected and how it will inform some of the service options that we develop, we have added all this data on a web interface called the story map. So Kevin, why don't you bring up that story map? Just to inform everyone, the link for the story map is available on the web page for the neighborhood transit study. So this is an interactive web page where we inform what the service basics are, and we did go through those service basics in the previous slide. We inform what the existing conditions are and what the transit demographics are. Plus, this website also holds a comment map where you can go in and click on a specific point. Kevin, can we go to the comment map? Thank you.
Yep.
So this gives you an opportunity to select areas where you feel are like some of the important destinations or origins for your travel within downtown area. And if you take the survey and hit complete on the survey, it will directly open the comment map for you where you can add these points. With this, we will understand what are some of the trends, where people want to go, where people want to get down, where people want to connect to another local bus route, and that will help us identify the routing for those service options. So we already did go through service basics, but we can click on that, Kevin. Thank you. So we already did go through it. On the left, there are few examples of other neighborhood transit circulators or service regionally as well as outside Arizona. We can go to existing conditions next. Thank you. So on the right, you can see a map. This is an interactive map. You can zoom in and zoom out, click on different points, lines, and understand what information it is giving you. But what we did is we looked at who are the major employers in the area, what are some of the major developments, land use type. We also looked at existing transit service, where are there opportunities to connect, And so on the left, you see all that information is summarized. So yeah, it also shows the dash route, the dash stops, and average daily ridership for the dash stops. Kevin, can you scroll on the left? Thank you. So as I said, it does talk about transfer opportunities to different local bus routes, express routes, rapid routes, and light rail. Scroll down, please, and gives you idea about what the current dash operations are. Currently, the dash serves from Monday to Friday, and it is at a 12-minute frequency. It serves for 12 hours from 6:45 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. Dash vehicles right now are low floor city buses with a capacity of 35 seats. It serves 17 bus stops overall. Previously, the route did extend all the way to Central Station, where there was a major connection to the light rail and many other local and express bus routes and rapid routes. However, due to the current construction work at the Central Station is going through a redevelopment, and that's why the routing has been changed temporarily. There are other things happening in downtown other than just private developments. Our high capacity transit is expanding, and the South Central construction is going on, which will extend the existing light rail all the way to Baseline Road. Also, there are efforts and study planning going on for extension of light rail all the way to the capital and further that. Next tab, please, Kevin.
Would you like to go to transit
Transit demographics, please. Thank you. So along with all the destinations and origins, it was important for us to understand the composition of the downtown area, where population, which areas have higher population density or employment density, see that where are some of the vulnerable communities, and accordingly that information will help us develop our service options. All this is interactive. You can go and click on items. Some of the layers are turned off, but you can definitely go in and turn on those layers and see what is the composition of the overall downtown area. That's it. Thank you, Ken. We can go back to this PowerPoint. All right, next slide.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Daksha, so much for going over and give a tutorial of the tools that we have. I will be going over the project timeline for the downtown neighborhood transit study. So this is our current timeline for the transit study for downtown, the neighborhood transit study for downtown. For this month, we will begin we have begun our initial public engagement. We anticipate to conclude round one of the outreach by the end of the month. In October, we will then analyze input from the public and come up with some service options, as Dakshan had mentioned before. We will then engage the public again and get your thoughts on these options. And then the project team will refine these options some more after getting those feedback from the public and land on the final preferred routing by early 2023. This is where you see where we have different phases of the study for the downtown area. Now, throughout the process, we will engage various internal teams within the city to help guide us through the decision-making process, which include internal public transit teams as well as staff from other city departments as they may have interest in the downtown area. And this is some of the icons you see here and the different time and areas where we will engage these various groups for discussion. Right. All right, so here are our current phase one outreach process. We want to really involve the community to help us make good decisions on revision to the existing circulators. Here is the list of stakeholders we have sent information to so far for the Downtown Dash outreach. If some of you on this list join us today, thank you so much. To participate in the process, we look forward to hear from you and your group some more on your feedback for the downtown area. And here are the list of events that we have planned for the phase one of the outreach. The website was launched a few weeks ago, along with the surveys to the public. As of today, we have received many surveys from the community, so thank you so much for your input. We would love to get some more, of course, from the public. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the survey. We will also show the public where the survey is as well later on. We have presented the information to the Phoenix Citizens Transportation Commission meeting last week. The CTC is designed to provide guidance to the department on the T2050 transportation spendings. And today is our public meeting virtually today. And we will conclude phase 1 of the outreach by the end of this week on September 30th. Here are the contact information we have for the study. You will see our website is Phoenix.gov/neighborhoodtransit. We have an email that's set up for this project that is neighborhoodtransitstudy@phoenix.gov. And of course, the city has various social media, sites on the right. And we also have our Brenda, who is our public information officer for any media inquiries. Her information is here. All right. Okay. All right. Well, this concludes tonight's presentation. We would now like to open the floor for questions and comments. I want to remind you that there should be a drop down on the right-hand side of your screen that is labeled Q&A. This is where the project team and I will read your questions and comments. If time permits, we will get through all the questions tonight. But if we do run out of time, I would like to remind you that we are still collecting feedback via the story map, and we will review today's meeting in addition to the survey link. We would also like to assure that all of tonight's comments, whether they're in the chat box, Q&A box, will all be documented. All right, so let's go over to the Q&A. I gotta open my box for that one. Oh, so for those that may have issue finding the Q&A box, I think you may have to click on the three dotted icon, and maybe that will display for you. I do apologize, my view might be different from someone from the public.
Kevin, do you want me to give you one of the questions from the Q&A?
Yes, please.
that help?
I'm trying to find the box for that.
No worries.
Excuse me.
One of the questions is from Albert Cerna, and that's what is T2050? So
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Albert, for
I
that
can
question.
speak to it, yeah, or you can.
Yeah, I can begin, and any of those that may want to add on, please do. So T2050, or what we call Transportation 2050, is Phoenix's comprehensive transportation plan. This was approved by voters back in 2015, I believe. It's a 35-year plan for that. Would help us fund transit service, some streets improvement project. It will help us continue to expand on our local network, our local transit network, our express network, build high capacity transit, and of course here, to help us expand and improve upon the city's neighborhood transit services. So, as Dr. had mentioned before, neighborhood transit service definitely is an important element of our overall T2050 program.
Thanks, Kevin. Another question, this is from Teresa. Is it possible to extend the study area / the dash service area to north of McDowell? Extend the plan area north
I
of
see.
McDowell.
Yep. Yeah, maybe I can bring yeah, thank you for that question. Let me bring the map back, and maybe that would be a good one. So I think the question here is, can we expand the boundary? And I think particularly McDowell was in question. Yes, so for us, when the team initially began the study, we do have to define an area for the boundary, a boundary for the study area. For services that go beyond this boundary, the project team will certainly consider the feasibility of of those. However, we also have to keep in mind of the other transit services that we already have in downtown. So in particular, right here in Central, we do have the light rail line that runs all the way through Central Avenue, and it does have a stop in downtown. I mean, on McDowell Road. And then on McDowell Road itself, we also have, our Route 17 on our other streets on 7th Street and 7th Avenue. We have other local routes. So those services will all be part of the consideration in addition to the dash service. We do see that, not one service, it's service on its own. All these network work together to provide the public a comprehensive transit network. So it definitely will be something we will look into, but our top priority is to look into the circulation within the project area that we have initially defined.
Thanks, Kevin. And we have a question from Bramley and then another one from Albert. So Bramley says, he asks, does the 2010 circular bus route map represent the current operating map? So I think that was some slides back, right, with the different.
The question is this routing present the current routing or on? Oh, it's on the slide.
I think they're talking about the dash route, like the older.
Okay. Let me go back to that
was
slide.
One of Daksha's slides that she had.
Here we go.
Yeah. Does the 2010 map represent the current operating map? Like, I think our current service.
So yeah, I see. Yeah, thank you for that question. It almost does. So as you see on the July 2010 map, it does show that the routing of the dash circulator does go just north of Van Buren and turn around over there. That is Central Station. The routing actually has since changed in late 2020 because of the closure of Central Station for a redevelopment project that's ongoing right now that Daksha had mentioned earlier. So the routing is pretty much the same with the exception of the routing on going to Central Station. When the city of Phoenix and Valley Metro were working through a reroute plan for all the buses that were impacted due to the Central Station closure. Unfortunately, due to a very heavy construction, on Washington and Jefferson around Central Avenue, we were unable to bring the dash further north at this time.
Thanks, Kevin. So this one is from Albert. Why is it important to review transit lines and how do neighborhoods benefit from these surveys and these reviews?
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question. So I believe it's important to review the transit lines because we want to hear from the public that if the transit needs have shifted, then we certainly want to adapt our service to meet the public's needs. So the public will certainly benefit from these surveys and reviews because hopefully through those input from the public, then we will be able to modify the service to better fit what the public would like, from point A to point B where they would like to go. So these processes do happen on a regular basis. They do happen for our local routes. We are always seeking comments from the public. In this case, we do have a more focus on downtown, its neighborhood transit service and the dash itself. So that would be why the public will benefit.
Thanks, Kevin. And to your point, we do, regular service changes twice a year. So that's another way that we reach out and get feedback from our riders about various changes and changes for, mostly for efficiencies, right? Okay. So what challenges did you face in producing this survey?
I'm not sure. I have to think about that. Daksha, do you have anything here? on this one?
Sure, I can say something. So, we have previously developed several of such surveys where we try to understand what the transit needs are of the community and people within those neighborhoods. When we are developing the survey questions, we make sure we get the right feedback, which will help us develop those service options that I spoke about previously. So the challenges in general is to take the survey to the public and make sure that the survey is accessible to the public, right? So we make sure we have a link everywhere in the press release, the web page, the story map, so that people can click on the link and take this survey. We make sure the survey is in English and Spanish both. And we also did print paper surveys, and our Phoenix Transit Department team did go out to all the dash circulator stops and on bus and took onboard surveys and filled out those paper surveys from the different transit riders. So we make sure that we get as much input as possible, which will really help us understand what the needs are and provide more informed it provides us more informed feedback if we present if we provide information on the web page and take that feedback and develop solutions that are really beneficial to the community. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Daksha.
Thank you, Daksha. There was another question here from another individual, MB. How will public transit accommodate those with mobility issues and ADA services?
I can try to take that. So as Daksha had mentioned before, the transit service that we provide, they are all accessible. So for those with mobility issues, all of our buses are wheelchair accessible. That includes the Dash, that includes our light rail line and also our local routes. And as for ADA services, City of Phoenix, along with Valley Metro, we are obligated to provide ADA dial ride service to the public. So if you are eligible for those, they are available where we have transit service. And here in Phoenix, all the boundary within City of Phoenix are eligible for ADA service. Should you be eligible for that if you are south of Joe Max Road? Do we have more questions?
There was another question about how will this plan be implemented for the future? What changes and improvements do you expect to see?
Maybe what we can do is share our common map so far. So as Daksha has, am I sharing the screen? Yeah. So as Daksha had mentioned earlier, this is our common map. These are all the dots we have received so far from the public. We will certainly consult the comment we receive here, the location of which public tell us where they want to go in downtown, and see how we can come up with an improved routing for downtown, neighborhood transit service. And could you remind me what's the other part of the question?
Yes. What changes and improvements do we expect to see?
Okay. We have asked some questions in our survey. Let me see if I can go there. So in our survey here, if we haven't shown already, these are our 10 question survey that we have on our website. We have asked the public about how often do they use the service, where they don't want to go to, and what kind of change they would like to see from these from this study. So certainly we will consult the result from these and make adjustments and see where possible. So that would be how we will make changes.
And there was another question about how many survey responses we've gotten. So to that, we are still getting survey responses. Surveys are open until this Friday, September 30th. So once we have more of a, a better picture of the responses, we can share that, right?
Yeah, we have pretty good responses right now. A few hundred, which is pretty good. But we always need more. Downtown is a very key area for the region, so we certainly want to ensure the modification that we done for the neighborhood transit service here in downtown, really represent what the public want from us.
So I can add to that question. The overall process is very transparent. So whatever feedback we do receive, we will look into that feedback, review it, and we will summarize that feedback. So at the end of this process, we will have a public feedback summary report developed, which we do intend to publish on the study website, and you can see the overall result in that feedback summary report.
Another question, how does the dash differ from downtown trolley?
Downtown trolley. Here in Phoenix, we do not have a downtown trolley. Here in downtown Phoenix, as we mentioned before, we have the local routes that runs on Washington Jefferson, runs on 7th Street, 7th Avenue. And we also have the light rail line here, and Dash is a free circulator that we have that right now runs on Washington and Jefferson between 3rd Avenue and 19th Avenue. So not sure what the reference for downtown trolley here is.
They said, Bramley says, I believe DPI has a downtown trolley. I'm not sure either about a downtown trolley.
DPI. Yeah, if you can provide us some more clarification, that would be good on that question.
Bramley, does the DPI run just for certain days in the month, like First Fridays? Downtown. I'll share the link with you, Kevin. Bramley sent a link.
Oh, I see it. Yep, let me
Perfect.
yep, let me get to that. Okay, so the link, let me see if I can share with the public here. Oh. Oh. Well, this is our dash. Well, it's a pretty old version of our dash, a pretty old photo of it. But it is the same thing. I'm not sure how up to date these information are. But yes, this is our dash circulator. So same thing.
Yeah, so this is the circulator that we are studying and seeing how it can be improved, or how service can be changed here based on the current needs. As Kevin mentioned, this is an old photo. Maybe it was mentioned as downtown trolley, just a different name for Dash, but it's the same service.
Yeah, and certainly I'm looking through here. This is some of the older information because here it does mention the downtown loop and the government loop. Do want to reference you back to this map. You see, at some point we did one point had a different routing, the downtown loop and government loop. Government loop only. Here we go. So here we go. Let me okay. So this is Downtown Phoenix.
Yeah, it does talk about a trolley that down there at the bottom that uh, I would maybe contact Brownlee. We'll get this page updated with our current information. Thanks, Brownlee, first and foremost. So, but we can contact Downtown Phoenix and ask about that if we don't. I don't have information about the trolley.
Yes, and this is not a service that the public transit department, provide directly. So we do need to find out a little bit more about what this is referencing to. But thank you for the question. Okay. Do we have more Q&As?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Well, if not, why don't I spend a minute or two going over our project page? I don't think we have shared that yet. So as we shared in our presentation earlier, our website is, let me see, make sure I get it right. It's Phoenix.gov/neighborhoodtransit. Oh yeah, it's right here. So on this page, you will be able to find a lot more information that was provided earlier, about what is neighborhood transit, the project background, some of the materials that we have already shared today. These are the map that Dr. Shai went over earlier, and then more information about the downtown study area. And then here is where the public will be able to get the survey link. So if we click on that one, that will take us to that survey link where we did show earlier. For those that may want to take the survey in other languages, here on the top right corner, we do have a Spanish translation drop down. So that's available there. As I mentioned earlier, it's a 10-question survey, very brief, doesn't take a lot of time. So it'd be great if you, for those are in participation today, if you haven't filled out, please fill one out or share with your friends and family, if they have an interest in the downtown area. Let me go back to the project page.
The survey link also is on a button on the left-hand side, so that way people don't have to.
Oh yes.
You don't have to scroll down all the way down. There it is, orange.
There it is. Yes, yep. We have multiple ways to get there. We really want you to take the survey. Thank you. And of course, the story map, and this was linked in multiple locations. So if I click on that one, this will bring us to the story map that Daksha went through earlier. So let me go back to that. I think I was at ways to participate, I believe. Yep. This is the public meeting today. And then we also have information about the community education and engagement plan. And we also have some FAQs, frequently asked questions here. And here we have some document that is already done for the downtown area. You will see we have some state of practice memorandum for neighborhood transit service. We have some more information about looking into the downtown area in terms of construction and how they may impact transit service. Here you will get a little bit more detail on the public education engagement plan. And of course, we also have a poster that we did create. And we have posted some of these at our existing bus stops. And we also ask our stakeholders to help us spread the word. There's a QR code here. That QR code will take you to our main page. And we also have a contact us here that, if you click on that one, it will open up a form. So for any of you that may want to give us more comments, feedback, questions, that's where you can do that as well. In addition, to, our email address, neighborhoodtransit@phoenix.gov, or take the survey. So, all right. I think that's all for the website. If there's any place that the public want me to go to or to show, we can definitely do that. I think the one thing I will try earlier is on the common map. If you go there, Daksha was talking about clicking on the try to place a dot to tell us your comment and your origin and destination, where you want to go. So I think let me just quickly try it and see how easy this is. Hopefully you can all see on my screen. Once I click on destination or origin, you'll see that the little text box show up and says, click to add a point. So I'm just going to quickly try it. I won't save this, but hopefully you can see this. So if I want to go here, I can click on it. Then this will bring up this comment box where you can give us your comments. And then once you're done, you can click save. I'm going to not do that. There you go. So it's a pretty easy way to let us know where you would like to go, your interest, and all that, for the downtown area. Well, Brenda, do we have more Q&A that have come in?
We don't, Kevin.
Okay.
So I think we can talk about, next steps. I think you definitely touched on it a little bit. That way we can.
Yeah, I can.
Wrapping up.
Yeah, I can go back to that one. Maybe it would be better to go over to here to let everybody know. So, as we previously mentioned, our survey is still now live. We are having the closure on that by the end of this Friday. And after we receive all the comment from the public, then we will certainly, analyze it, and that's what we're going to be doing in October. You will see here under phase 2 technical analysis, the purple line here. And as we are developing service options, well, as I mentioned earlier, we will certainly be engaging with the internal groups to get buy-in, to ensure that the routing works, the funding works, and all those. And of course, once we get to a good acceptable service alternative or service options, we will have a few. Then we will bring those back out to the public and seek your feedback. That is the phase 2 community engagement, the line that you see here. That's when we anticipate to go back out to public for the phase 2 outreach. Then once that closes, is then we will then gather additional feedback and try to finalize on a final routing, that's what we show here in phase 3 technical analysis, is where we will gather those, take a look at those feedback and modify service if needed, service options if needed. And then once that's concluded, we will update our project website and update the public on the final routing, preferred routing. In terms of the implementation timeline, that one we're not as sure on. As you all know, right now downtown does have a lot of construction going on, so we certainly have to be mindful of when certain streets will be open and be able for us to run service on. In addition, should the added service need us to acquire additional vehicles, those do take some time. We do have existing fleet that we can use. However, if the final decision would require additional resources and vehicles, that is something we do have to program in and budget for and purchase. And I'm not really sure how long those takes right now. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Maybe I'll end here. Well, it is 6:50 now.
So just a last reminder for everyone, even after the survey closes, if you have additional comments or questions, you can always email us, as Kevin stated, at neighborhoodtransitstudy@phoenix.gov, and we'll get that feedback. We'll continue getting that feedback. But we definitely would want you to fill out the survey if you have a moment to do that.
Yep, that is definitely our goal. We want to get as many survey inputs as possible. Thank you. Okay, well, if there are no other questions or feedback from the public, we can probably wrap this up. So I do want to remind everybody that today's meeting is being recorded, and we will post to our project website within 72 hours. That's what we aim to do. So I do want to thank you all for joining us today in today's meeting. We really highly encourage you to help us spread the word about the study. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family about it. For those that couldn't attend today's meeting or have not, take the survey, they can certainly come back and visit our website at the Phoenix.gov/neighborhoodtransit, where they will find the recording of today's meeting there. And we, of course, encourage them to let us know, participate, and provide us comments on the study. So thank you so much. Any other words from the team members here? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.